look like that. To be on. I mean, it'll pay.
Oh, yeah, do that. Oh, she went like that. That's it.
Yeah. All right, I will call the meeting to order. We will start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will do roll call. Amy Casebeer, Bob Curry.
Here.
Amy Meyer, Kenneth Sebastian, Bill Purcell, Norm Warner.
Here.
Donna McIntyre.
Here.
Mike Swafford.
Here.
Chad Van Ryan.
Here.
Okay. All right, so I have given you the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there any questions or anything?
Motion accept.
All right. All right, and vote. Okay, there is no old business, new business. Reorganization of the board, election of president. Is there any nominations?
I nominate Warren Widener.
Second.
Is there any other nominations? Okay. All right. And vote. Okay. All right. All right, Norm, you take it over, and if you guys can turn your mics on and over.
Okay. Thank you for the vote of confidence.
You're welcome.
Now, we need to elect vice president, so anybody having a nomination for vice president?
Donna. I'll nominate Donna.
Have a nomination, do we have a second?
Second.
Nominated by Chad, second by Bob. Any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of Donna, vice president?
Thank you.
401.
You didn't vote for yourself.
Okay. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
On with new business. B, public hearing for the rezone application PC 2329-9 Leonard White Dollar Store Overland Group. Before we open the public hearing, I must read the script here. Plan Commission meeting will be one request for rezoning. These requests are typically termed amendments to the zoning map or rezoning. In consideration, these requests, the Plan Commission shall pay reasonable regard to the comprehensive plan, current conditions and characters of the current structures and uses in each district, the most desirable use of which the land in each district is adapted, the conservation of property values through the jurisdiction, responsible development and growth. Plan Commission hearing. That's the Plan Commission hearing. Due notice to interested parties. The Plan Commission shall also provide for due notice interested parties at least 10 days prior to the date set for the hearing. Owners of real property to a depth of 2 ownerships must receive notice. Did that happen here? The hearing must be held by the Plan Commission at a place stated in the notice. That would be here. The files of the Plan Commission concerning proposal are public record and shall be kept available in the Commissioner's office for inspection by the interested parties. That would be in the building department downstairs. And pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-4-605, a proposal to change the zone maps may be certified with a favorable recommendation, an unfavorable recommendation, or no recommendation. That's Plan Commission. The legislative body shall consider the recommendation of any of the Plan Commission before acting on the proposal. So we are not the final word. We're sending over a recommendation. They're the final say. Pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-6-604, before the Plan Commission certifies the proposal to the legislative body, the Planning Commission must hold a public hearing, which is what we're doing tonight. The Plan Commission shall give notice of the hearing. We've already done that. By publication under Indiana Code 5-3-1, the notice must state the time and place of the hearing, the geographic area that is subject to the zone map change. This notice does not require the identification of any real property by meets or bounds, a description of the proposed change in the zone maps, the place where a copy of the proposal is on file for examination before the hearing, that written objections to the proposal that are filed with the Secretary of the Commission before the hearing will be considered. Did we receive any written?
No.
Okay. That oral comments concerning the proposal will be heard. That'll be our hearing tonight. And that the hearing may be continued from time to time as may be found necessary. Okay, and with that, I will open the public hearing for PC 2023-9. So if you'd like to come to the microphone, state your name, and then present your application, please.
Good evening. My name is Tyler Oaks. I'm with Bose McKinney out of Indianapolis. Here on behalf of DG0G, Freedom IN 09062023. We're petitioning for a rezone to occur at 5481 Main Street, Freedom, Indiana. This application is for a rezone from what is currently zoned residential, and we are asking this to be rezoned to a business. My client is the Overland Group, who works with Dollar General, and they are an engineering group that builds Dollar Generals. They've done a number too large for me to count to across Indiana and really across the Midwest. And this is kind of the next project and area that they're looking to construct this Dollar General in. So this will be for a Dollar General. He's worked with the current landowner. We've drafted a drainage plan, demolition plan, etc., as to how the parcel will end up looking and what it eventually looks like I said, is Dollar General. Just to kind of clarify, a lot of Dollar Generals nowadays do have a different look. They've obviously been around for a while. The ones that my client have done are some of the more modern ones. I'm not sure there's one that's been built around here recently that's kind of the more modern looking style, but it's more of a brick front as opposed to, I know I drove past one on the way down. I'm a little bit north of Spencer. That's what I would consider to be kind of the old style of Dollar General. So this will be a much newer looking kind of facade or face and that sort of thing. So my client thinks this is going to be a great fit for a couple of reasons. One is we believe this area to be somewhat of a food desert. I did a quick, obviously I'm not from here, but I did a quick check just on the nearest kind of stores from a grocery store standpoint, and it looks like there's a country store about 5.6 miles away from Freedom, and then you'd have to come here to Spencer, which is about 8.3 miles. So we think this presents a really good opportunity for that area to have a grocery store centrally located. I went through the comprehensive plan for For Owen County, specifically looked at Freedom. Freedom currently is zoned as a rural community, which seems to be a loose term. I can certainly appreciate Owen County with a 2022 comprehensive plan, much newer than what I'm used to. Makes it really easy to follow. So, and we think that this Dollar General falls in line with that. This is right on the outskirts of kind of downtown Freedom. We think it provides a really good buffer between kind of that downtown area where you do have businesses as well as the farmland. My client, have done their research, and we're certainly familiar with kind of the natural beauty and agricultural focus here in the county as well as with Freedom, and that's something that we'd like to respect. So we are cognizant of that and look to work to make sure that that heritage and that kind of lifestyle is preserved. Excuse me. Additionally, in the comprehensive plan, it kind of, I think one of the goals it specifically addressed was an increase for housing to kind of curb the population decrease that has gone on in the county. I think it goes without saying that in hand with an increase of housing, if you're going to be bringing people in, is you need access to food in grocery stores, and that's what Dollar General hopes to be, is setting up in a rural community like Freedom, providing that grocery store locally centered, that's accessible for any residents around the area. So we're respectfully requesting that you approve this rezone, like I said, from a residential to a business. We are happy to work with the county and the town and the residents really to make sure that this is a partnership that works for everybody, and we hope that Dollar General can come in and be a real asset to the community. So I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you may have and request your approval.
I did have one thing. So I know there was some discussion with the highway superintendent on the surface on the road that you're going to replace out to the inlet to your building. That is going to be blacktop now instead of concrete, correct?
That's my understanding. We're comfortable with that, whatever the recommendation is from the highway engineer.
Well, I think the problem there is that is a county road, so in order for us to use our clearing and our sand and salt and all that on it, we need it to be blacktop like the rest of the road for it to work out there, if I understood him correctly. So I just wanted to get on record that you guys have agreed to that.
Yeah, if that's a requirement and condition for this to be done, then that's not a problem for us to come through on.
Okay. And then how long does it normally take for one of these building projects? In a month, a year? I mean,
Yeah,
can you break
this-
it down for me?
Yeah, so this one I think is a little bit different because of the house that currently resides on the property. Obviously, a lot of care is going to be going into the removal of that, and then making sure that the drainage plan as outlined by the engineer is adhered to, so that there's no drainage issues with the property. So with the grading, with the drainage, with the tear down of that house, the process is probably going to take a little bit longer than it normally would. Don't hold me to this because I'm kind of just speculating, but it's certainly not going to be a month. I would say it's probably closer to I'd say at minimum probably 3 or 4 months, but if I had to guess, it'd probably be closer to 6 or even a year. But that's purely my speculation. My client hasn't told me what a timeline would be. That's just based on what I've seen with these.
You guys have anything?
Is most of this watershed going off here, is it going towards the north? Because anything goes south, they've had a lot of problems in Freedom with watershed going to the south.
So on the drainage pond, it looks like there is on the drainage map, and I apologize, I'm not an engineer, so I'm reading this to the best that I can. So my understanding is they're going to have a retention pond that complies with what Indiana code states, and there's enough there that they're well within the required amount and then some. So you are going to have it looks like some drainage that's going to go east into this drainage pond, and then we will have a majority that doesn't go east. The remainder, it looks like, will go north with just a touch going to the south. And these are all compliant with NDOT requirements as well. And like I said, that there's enough calculated that we're doing more than is required by Indiana code.
So in other words, there's a retention pond. Do you have any idea how much water it's gonna hold, how deep it'll be? We got small children, I suppose, live in that community down there, to be walking that area, so I have real trouble with retention ponds,
Yeah.
especially this day and age.
So the, excuse me, one sec. It doesn't look like it'll be some sort of pond, but it doesn't say, at least my engineer doesn't have, it may be on the appendix at the end, but in terms of what I've gone through, I would not be able to tell you the exact. I can certainly talk to my client and get an answer on that, and if that's a concern, that's something we can address from a safety standpoint as well.
I guess the question would be, the intent doesn't look like it's gonna hold water all the time, it's just for a flooding, or a heavy downpour, and then it would dissipate.
Correct.
The
So it's not gonna be
The
holding.
question is, how long is it gonna hold water and how deep will it be? So that would help us decide if it needs to have a fence around it or not.
Sure, and I think that's, again, I would think there's some sort of Indiana statutory code from just a general public policy safety standpoint, that if the water is going to be standing for a certain period of time, I would imagine that they're going to require a fence. This is not the first time my client has done a retention pond of this sort, and there is hydraulic access to it that's gonna push that water away relatively quickly. So, you know, a fence is certainly something we can look into, but my assumption is that my clients work with the state to make sure that we're abiding by code here, and that the water would not be standing long enough to present any kind of threat to a child or anybody else that could be in the vicinity.
They call it an area, not a pond. That indicates to me they're not planning on water staying there for a long period of time. That might be something you need to clarify when you go before the commissioners. We'll make a note of that,
Yeah,
just so we can get that clarified.
yeah, I can get you, or at least I can send it to you as well either way, and then we'll have ready for the
If you'll send it to
commissioners.
Susan, she can get it to them as well.
And I can have them detail a little bit more on what exactly that would entail.
What I'm reading here, it says the detention outlet is an 8-inch PVC pipe with a 4-inch horizontable and 6 inches riprap overflowing spillway as shown above. So I guess, yeah, it does drain out then.
Yeah. And so, and it looks like the way that they're draining it was not gonna be going to the south.
Would there be any kind of fencing between the proposed store and the house behind it for light obstruction and keep from light polluting or?
Do not believe currently on the site plan that that's something that they have on there, because the septic tank creates a buffer, but that's not uncommon. That's not an uncommon concern that's been raised. My client has worked with neighbors in the past if there's concerns, and they've constructed plenty of fences. So if there's a neighbor that has a concern, I can't bind my client right now to that, but just based off their past history, they've been more than happy to accommodate, because they can certainly appreciate and understand the concern there.
Is anything else for him?
I have nothing at this time.
All right.
I'd rather hear from the public, see
Mike?
what their opinions are.
Anything?
And then,
Thanks, sir.
point of clarity, will there be a chance for rebuttal at the end after public comments? Is that typical standard?
Yeah, if you want.
If I could just reserve like a minute or two.
Right.
That'd
Yep.
be great.
Yeah, we'll reserve your right to rebuttal.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Okay. So is there anyone here who would like to speak on this application, and we can just start over here with Mariah and work our way across? You got anything, Mariah? No?
Just say you're happy for it. I'm happy for it. I'm happy for it too.
Okay, Debbie?
I'm a realtor and I live in Freedom personally, and I am very happy about this.
Leonard, I assume you don't have anything to add? Sir, do you have anything?
I live at 5591 Main Street. I'm a block and a half to go to the grocery store and get me some bread and milk. Tickled with that.
How about you?
Right next to it, and I'm looking forward to it.
You're Mr. Bates, right? And you don't have a problem with where it's sitting? Okay. Rick?
We got two different versions. The earlier version has, looks like the whole thing set back further. This new version here is forward. Which one's correct?
Now, I gave them their initial one. That's the one that I
Okay.
got initially.
So-
If there's something, a newer one that I
There,
don't have.
there is a newer one that
Okay.
sets farther back
Okay,
because of the 200 feet.
okay,
They're
That needs to be
200
between
feet off the,
church
yeah,
okay.
and so.
yeah. This is the correct one here, Dale.
That correct one?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, so this one here has 200 feet
Oh, okay.
from the parsonage to the edge of the building. So, perfect.
203 to be exact,
Yeah,
but,
203.
and our ordinance calls for 200, right?
The state requires 200 feet. There's no state ordinance that says.
The other concern would be light pollution to the residential area to the south from the parking lot.
To the south?
Yes.
Anything else? I mean, just slightly.
Just, as Bob mentioned too, if it's a retention pond, I can see, we have a playground really close there.
Right.
I can see youngsters very curious to frogs or whatever going down there. It's just, looks like that's been clarified.
Yeah, from the looks of it, Rick, it's gonna drain off fairly quickly. They're not, I mean, they don't even call it a pond on here, it's called a retention area. So it may collect water, but it's got an 8-inch drain coming out of there. It's gonna roll out of there fairly quickly, I would think. And like you said, they have to meet the requirements of the state of Indiana. So if there is a problem, we can always get them back in there and rectify it either with a fence or a bigger drain.
The lights, I've seen places where they put bars or where they not, so
Right.
that direct the light the other direction.
I don't remember if it said exactly what the
There's a sign out front.
output would be. There will be a sign down by the road,
Yeah,
a lit sign.
that's gonna be relatively.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be low to the
All
ground.
parking lots, right.
I don't remember what they said on the lighting output. Let me look here. You wouldn't happen to know what the lighting output on those posts would be, would you?
I would not be able to tell you that, but I do think that based on where the lights would be located on the building, I wouldn't think there'd be too much light that's facing to the south, correct?
But are you gonna have anything on the actual parking lot itself?
I'm sure they would, but yeah, I would think there's gonna be, I mean, from a safety standpoint, you're gonna have lights on it, but, I mean, Dow General, like I said, has prided itself on being a pretty good community partner. Those lights don't stay on all night. They normally are typical bound by pretty reasonable hours, and, from an economic standpoint, certainly don't want them running electricity bill all day either.
Would there be any way we could have the lights actually facing back toward your building, essentially north, I would guess, as opposed to facing south? That way they're not shining down towards the area he's talking about. That would help. And then if you do put one on between Mr. Bates and yourself, that one would need to face east instead of south.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why you would have them facing the other way, but I think that's a reasonable request of your neighbors to get the light down on the lot and not blow it out towards town.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that'll be an issue
Okay,
for us.
so if you'll make a note of that, and then, like I said, these would be things you'll need to bring up at the commissioners' meeting.
Understood, thank you.
Anything else, Rick?
Other than that, I think it's a good
Okay,
asset.
so if we can take care of the light and make sure the water is not there, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I live dead center of town on Back Street, Mount Ford.
I will say, and I don't live in Freedom, but I will say that I think this is gonna be, would be a good thing for Freedom. I did have something for you, Dale. Water. specifically fire hydrants. Do we have anything down in there?
We do have Rural Water,
Okay.
Eastern Heights Water Company out of Bloomfield. I currently had contact with them, made arrangements between the church and Bill Bates to run a 6-inch line off the 6-inch main that runs on Jefferson Street to go up the property line and put a hydrant at the corner of the parking lot for dry standpipes inside the building.
Okay.
All I have to do is get everything to Eastern Heights for them to approve it and go from there.
And who's funding that?
That will be up to the Dollar General. If they want to put the store in, if they want fire protection up there, because other than that, we do not have any.
I think it would behoove us to have that. Plus, it's going to help the community.
Talked it over with their representatives as far as the roadway and the water line going in. I think everything's been cleared up, and they said all we have to do is get everything drawn up.
Okay.
That's correct.
So, and I'm not a fireman, if we have that set up, is that going to be sufficient to cover that area, you think?
Dry standpipes in the building with us being able to hook onto the hydrant out front, through the truck, pump water into the store, we should be good.
Okay.
One other question.
Yes, sir.
The detention area.
Yes.
In front, is it going to go under Big 4 Road into the low area down there along the highway? Is that where it's going to drain to, or is it going to?
They showed it going, stormwater.
I don't know if it's specified which direction.
Yes. It looks like they're draining everything to the,
Be to the north, it should be to the northeast, to the low area down.
right down towards the highway, it looks like.
But it still have to go underneath
Okay.
Big 4 to get down to the low area down there, otherwise it's going to run right back through town.
Right. So you're wanting to take it more towards the east there?
The retention pond will be here.
Yeah.
It needs to drain across Big 4 down into that low borrow area where they.
Is there a culvert here already?
There is one there, but if you get enough downpour, which we've seen sizable downpours, if it's able to go that way, it would be better.
Okay. So can you mind to come up here for just a second?
Yeah.
Or I guess I could have showed you on this map. So what he's proposing is here, we bring the water underneath, not underneath this road right now.
Big 4, and go down to the borrow area, that's existing borrow area there already.
So you're talking about
Right in
this area?
Yeah.
I think,
Which it should work that way because they're gonna take up the road anyways.
yeah, I think that's already occurring because based on this, it talks about, the detention basin will discharge along the west side of US 231, which would be this, correct?
Well, any of this area right in here is the west side of 231.
Okay.
As long as it comes across Big 4, this section of Big 4, and comes down into here, it will make it down to that borrow area. That's the area, that low area that holds water there, that they used to build the highway back in the 60s,
Okay.
when they raised the highway up.
So we're gonna need to get it to this side of this road that you're gonna be blacktopping again anyway.
Right, my assumption would be that would be factored in if they're blacktopping.
I would make contact with our highway superintendent and make sure that we have all our ducks in a row about getting the water to that location.
Okay, I do think.
That may move that, because it looks like maybe they're planning on coming here, and we're wanting it more here in the corner.
Come out this way.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have, I don't know if this helps at all, but here's the detention with detail. Here's our roadside ditch detail. And here's the river outlet.
But instead of
And the
outletting,
overflow as well.
yeah, instead of just outletting this directly into the road ditch, try to get that over on this side of the Big 4. to alleviate any
Yeah.
flooding problems downtown.
I'll get confirmation, but I would be surprised if it's not, if that's not happening.
Okay.
But I'll confirm that.
Other than that, we're good.
So if you make note of that for your next meeting, and then we've already talked about the blacktop time frame and the lighting, that was the other thing that you need to bring that.
Yep, that won't be a problem.
Okay. Right. So, someone feel comfortable to make that motion, or do I need to do that? We want to get the lighting in there and the moving of the egress of water to the other side of Big Four.
To the northeast side,
Yes.
Big Four.
Okay. Just write it on here. Are you going to write it?
Well, when you guys make the motion.
Hey Dale, that'd be the northwest of the highway there, right?
It
Where
would
you're talking
actually-
about draining it down in there on the other side
It would
of,
be on the, well, yeah, the northwest side of the highway into the old retention or borrow area there where they borrowed everything to build the highway at. It's basically a man-made wetland.
yeah,
It's already
that's,
there.
yeah, it's not, it's part of
Well, I mean, that would be
it's
the
already
natural place to put the water.
That would be an ideal place to go.
Okay.
And it would protect the highway and everything downtown in Freedom, because there's one area down there that we actually do have a problem when it rains a lot. There's enough water comes through there that the road is impassable.
Okay, yeah, we don't want to contribute to that. So we'll need to build that and the lighting into the motion. So, any other public comment other than what I went around the room and got? Okay. You guys got anything else? We need to make the motion before we close the public hearing. Do you have a rebuttal, sir?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'll just do it because I think I got it. So here's my motion. I'll make a motion that we give it a favorable based on the following. We're following the comprehensive plan. Current condition and character of the current structure is really a moot point because it's an abandoned and dilapidated facility. The most desirable use of this land in each district, I feel that a grocery store in that area is a big benefit to folks. I also think that the building will only help the property values. I don't think it'll hurt them at all. Conservation of property values through the jurisdiction, and then responsible development and growth. I think we've met all that criteria. So with that, I'll make a motion with the following caveats, that we make sure the light pollution is constricted to pointing towards the building across the parking lot and not into the residential areas next door. That the retention pond is drained into across Big Four and into the low area to the north of the highway. And that if there is a problem with water staying in that retention pond for a length of time, that we revisit a fence or a barrier to keep kids out of there, since we do have a church with a playground right next door. So that's my motion.
I'll second that.
wait a minute. Put in there subject to the Great Mountains Highway Department on this
Right.
range.
You will need to get with Mr. Melton on how we get the water from one side of Big Four to the other. And I think the county does have access to pipes. We just
Well,
need
where
to
it
figure
be
out
6, 8, or
how
10
big.
inch pipe.
everything. So, with that, I have a motion, I have it seconded. Chad? So with those recommendations, we will put it before a vote. All in favor of that motion? 5-0. So congratulations, sir. We're going to send you with a favorable recommendation as long as you follow those recommendations for us, okay?
Perfect, appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, And with that, I will close the public hearing on 23-9. Public comments other than this application, anyone? Seeing none, staff report. Do we have a meeting next month?
We do have a meeting next month. We have currently one application, but we will have a second application by the end of the week. And they're both rezone applications, so
And the date on that one is?
that is the 20th, February
You
20th.
guys could put that in your calendars so we can make sure we have a quorum. Plan commission comments. You guys got anything else? All right, with that, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Motion to adjourn and second. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
I think